Let's talk more about Steph Curry, though, the guy that led your list, because in a recent interview with ESPN, Warrior superstar Steph Curry shared his thoughts on his team's two-timeline approach, which began with the 2020 NBA draft. That was the year the Warriors took James Wiseman. And then they followed that up by taking Kuminga and Moody in 2021. The idea was to bridge the gap between the dynasty core and the future. And despite capturing the title in 2022, Curry believes now that strategy has been scrutinized harshly in hindsight. In the article, Curry also sent a clear message, I thought at least, to the Warriors front office. He said, quote, "I just want to win, and they know that. Until it's all said and done, we want to have at least one more title to speak for, and that's it. That's what's left for me. That's all of it. I still love to hoop, but I love to win even more." You read the article, I'm sure. TK, Tass, you as well. Trey, I'll start with your thoughts, though. What do you think of this, Trey, talking about the two timeline, how it sort of didn't really work, and then really, again, I think, a little bit of pressure from Steph Curry, hey, I got one more in me, but you got to get the roster around me to get me there.
That's exactly what it was. He said Wise has had a tough run. I agree. Called him wise.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Steph Curry never does anything like this, which is why it hit so hard,
yes.
I think, because this is a critical moment. You could tell after the game last night, they got blown out by a Heat team playing on the second night of a back-to-back after a double overtime game without Jimmy Butler. It was bad. Steph Curry's walking around looking despondent. In the post-game press conference, Steve Kerr brings up Twitter charts saying that our team is at the bottom in combined layups and free throws. It's a personnel-based issue, and that's a question for the front office. That, to me, felt a little bit like a concerted effort to say, we need something to happen here because it's not just happening with Steph. Like Tass said, he's sacrificing himself, but that's because it's so easy for teams to defend the Warriors. Mm-hmm. They know we just got to get the ball out of Steph's hands. He might make a tough shot at the end of the possession if he's able to get open for, I think they called it a fingernail of space is what Gary Payton II called it. Very great term. Maybe that'll happen, but if the ball doesn't get back to Steph, you're living with the results of literally anybody else on the Warriors trying to make a play, trying to create a shot, or just taking a jumper. Everything seems tough for the Warriors right now. So between Curry and Kerr last night, it definitely felt like they're saying the three main people here think we can win. Kerr, Draymond, and Curry. We need to figure out the rest of it. And the clock is ticking because is Steph Curry really going to be okay with the Kobe Bryant 3-year farewell tour? That's what the Lakers did. They played out the end of Kobe's career. Mm-hmm. Same with the Mavericks and Dirk Nowitzki. That's what happened. Mm-hmm. Is Curry happy with that? He sounds like he wants to win another title.
Yeah. Is this how you read it, Tass? This, for at least for a guy like Steph Curry who rarely does stuff like this, was this him sort of subtly or not so subtly applying a little bit of pressure to the Warriors front office? Hey, let's get some new guys in here, or let's do something?
Yes, absolutely. The winds are blowing in Golden State and here in Atlanta. That there needs to be something done. I think that's clear. Steph, we're at 16 years, has never done anything like this. 16 years of his career, he's been super quiet. And the comparisons to the Spurs dynasty are accurate in that their leader kept it in-house. And Tim Duncan always kept it in-house, and so did Steph. But for him to verbally say that, for Kerr to be quoting Twitter charts, which is odd, I think it's all in the same sort of realm. We got to change if we want to win. Steph has done everything for Golden State. He's done everything for a new arena being built, everything for that franchise and the fan base. And they were able to win 4. That's, obviously an incredible accomplishment. But he wants 5. And I think they have, these new eyes in the front office with Mike Dunleavy leading the front office, the ability to do that. They do have a team that's looking to win and to get better, led by a franchise that's a front office, I should say, with that idea. And I think the Dennis Schroeder trade, obviously it hasn't worked. They need somebody to take his spot and put Dennis Schroeder to the bench, where Chris Paul was last year, running a second unit. That's where Dennis Schroeder belongs. He is not a guy who really works off the ball all that well. He needs to run an offense, and that's what he could do with the second unit. So as soon as they make a trade, they will be much better off. But that exactly what happened last night is what's, we talked about with the point guards that have sacrificed themselves. Steph had a great game, because he is one of the best players ever.
Yeah.
But he just doesn't have the supporting cast. It just hasn't materialized at all. Even if we talk about, I know Kuminga's hurt, but even with Kuminga there, they just don't have a number 2 offensive player.
And you said this the other day, Trey, and it stuck with me. This second timeline that the Warriors front office, or at least some people in their front office, seem so fond of, that idea, it starts when Curry is gone. That's the second timeline. This whole thing of trying to bridge the gap, and it sounded cute and sounded good, it just it sort of blew up in their face, if we're being honest, because they maybe held on to these young guys and these prospects when they should have been pushing the chips in a little bit more aggressively for players that could maybe help Curry and Draymond continue to win at a high level or compete at a high level. Once he's gone, you're going to be in the dark days of the NBA. I'm sorry, you just are. No matter who's there, or whatever young prospects you have there, it's very tough to sort of balance the two. But man, this is a weird final stage of Curry's career. You're right, and you don't want to see it similar to the way sort of Kobe's went to and Dirk's to some extent, and nor does Steph. And I think Steph's playing at a higher level than both of those guys were at the end of their career still, just with the way he plays the game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Kobe got to 20 seasons, right? Dirk was pretty close, so Curry's getting there, but we'll see what the last 3 or 4 years of his career are like. But I don't know. They got lucky to get a number 2 pick because Curry went out, played 5 games. I guess that was, the 1920 season or something like that? Broke his hand, whatever. They lucked into getting Wiseman. Imagine if they took LaMelo. They probably do have the 2 timelines, and it's getting stretched out. At least you got somebody going forward, but they picked Wiseman. Didn't work. Their best draft pick in the past 10 years has been Jordan Poole, who was instrumental in getting them a title, and then obviously Draymond punched him in the face, and they shipped out Poole.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to get lucky. I don't think the Spurs really planned a second timeline, but when they happened to draft Kawhi and they grew him into something, they said, okay, now we can move this direction, and it was successful for a while. But hey, we got a number 2 pick, James Wiseman, just do it. That obviously did not work.
But now they have the option or they should at least, I think, because you owe it to Curry to make these moves, to make a drastic move too. I mean, Dennis Schroeder's Dennis Schroeder. He's not going to move the needle on winning a championship. To make a really big move to get a co-star. This is really what we're getting at here. Every championship for Curry, he's had a co-star, so to speak, and you generally need that in the NBA. And Draymond Green's your defensive stud, but he's not your offensive co-star. So they need that, and he needs that, and they should be going all in. Because have they done enough to create a roster here to allow Steph Curry to have a chance at his 5th title? I don't think so right now, as currently constructed.
Not even close.
Yeah.
He has to play perfectly for them to win.
Yeah. Great article. I'm going to put it in the show notes. I encourage everyone to read it. My favorite part, or one of my favorite parts from this, was talk about Curry building his fortune sort of off the floor. Just made me laugh. Quote, he has television shows and commercials, his own shoe brand, and a bourbon. And then this was Curry within the article saying, nice little heat to it, he says, as if reading from the distiller's notes. Not too overpowering, some flavorful notes, some caramel. End quote there. So Steph Curry selling his bourbon within this great article about the paradox of what the Warriors are doing with him.
That sounds like Jay Skeets talking about a potato chip that has a little heat to it, doesn't it? I immediately thought of Skeets. Oh, this. Oh, yeah, it's got a little.
What are you talking about?
Oh, and sometimes you get a barbecue sauce and ooh, it's got a nice little heat to that.
I gotta try this bourbon. I'm interested. He sold me on it, Steph.
I liked the question. Do you look at the season as 82 one-act plays or one long novel with 82 chapters?
He liked that question too.
He's like, whoa!
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's writing for you.
And he said it's changed his perspective, did he not? I think
he said it's 82 one-act plays now, and it used to be one long novel with 82 chapters. He's like, I got to prepare so much for this one thing. It takes it all out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really am interested into when this entire interview took place. It just seemed like such a big piece that a lot of the parts happened in October, November.
Yeah, maybe.
And so this was almost just well-timed here to release it.
Sit on it for when the Warriors are struggling.
Yeah, just wait, bud.
It does feel like a different lifetime ago that the Warriors started 12-3. Is that what they were?
Yeah.
Wow. No, that was this season.
Yes.
And then things went poorly. So we'll see what they do. Great stuff. Really, really interesting article up on ESPN.